Welcome in to another Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. My name is Gabe Anderson, and I'm joined, as always, by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
We're doing well, man. We're doing well. Game 7. I mean, it's as exciting as it gets.
It's only the second Game 7 in Timberwolves history. Of course, we all know what happened with the first one. Got the win over the Sacramento Kings. And, of course, Kevin Garnett on the table, waving the towel. Basically, the story tells itself. But before we get going, make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. And give us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple. And give us a review as well. We want to know what you think about the podcast. So, Wolves win by 45 points last night, and it was worse than that. They had it over 50 at one point. So let's just start with your general observations from the game, and then we'll get into specifics.
I mean, what was cool to see is we had a game plan and we executed it. You know, we moved the ball on offense. We let Edwards bring the ball up, knowing that they were going to overpressure him, and we planned for it. And we had release valves with Karl Anthony Towns. We knew how they were going to, or we figured out how they were going to double, and we knew where the weakness was. I mean, it was basically like an NFL quarterback when they know the defense is in zone and you know where the soft spots are, you can just pick them apart. And that's what we did. We just picked them apart. It was beautiful to see. A lot of things, you know, aren't going to happen the way they did probably. Like Denver's not going to miss as many open shots as they did, but we also played great defense.
We did.
I mean, it's going to be great to see. But what I loved seeing was the unselfishness, and I love seeing Jaden McDaniels finally be aggressive again, because teams are daring him to do anything. They put their weakest defender on him, and they barely pay attention to him. So I like that he made people pay.
I heard on another podcast that I was listening to, Jane McDaniels, it's a little different, but he's almost like our Aaron Gordon, where teams are just daring him to shoot. And I have some stats on Jaden McDaniels. His first 5 games of the series, 14 for 37, 37%, 2 for 12 from 3. Last night, 21 points, 8 for 10 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3. So just a total difference maker. And in the past 2 games, we've been crying for someone to give Ant a little help. And here comes Jaden McDaniels with the game of his playoff life so far.
And I mean, let's be real. It could very well be the game of his life. Like, it's not like he's scored over 25 points a lot in his career. I think it's happened 3 times. So like him even to be around that it shows that he's having an amazing game. And he was all over the place defensively. He was crashing the glass on the rebounds. Like, he was just being a pest, and that's what we need him to do.
Yeah, and on the other side, the Joker we were talking about helping Anthony Edwards. Joker didn't get really much help either. An interesting stat from Michael Porter Jr. He was killing it coming into the series. I think he torched the Lakers several times, but for the series, he's shooting 39% from the field, 35% from 3, and only averaging 11 points a game. So what that tells me is we're doing a great job of getting him out of his rhythm. And we see him kind of not getting set shots, kind of taking it off the dribble and shooting it out of motion or trying to hit some crazy shot. I think if we can continue to get him out of his comfort zone, I think we can continue to be successful on Sunday night.
Well, I mean, a lot of that is because we stay home most of the time one-on-one with the Joker. Last game, we were throwing some double teams and then scrambling, but a lot of times if you stay and go man up on Joker, then a guy like Michael Porter Jr. isn't going to be left open, you know? So a lot of times that was the type of guy that you would double off of, so the ball would swing, and then he would be open for a shot. Well, we're not doubling, so he hasn't been open for shots. And then when he is open, we're closing down on him so fast that we're running him off the 3-point line. So, yeah, it's been great. I mean, we had great activity all over the court. And, I mean, when we had guys that didn't do, a whole lot. Like, when you can win by 45 and Karl Anthony Towns comes down with 10 points, like that's amazing.
Mhm.
But in the same sense, he was moving the ball when he's supposed to. Like there was very few times when he would like force his way through like a triple team or like do a stupid pass over his head. Everything seemed a little bit more in control. And that's all we need from him is just be solid. Just don't kill us. Don't ruin
Yeah,
our flow.
and we have an interesting question from a longtime listener, Chris. He says, how much of Denver's shooting percentage was out of defense versus missed shots? I felt like there were a lot of missed open shots. And I think you're right. I think there were a lot of missed open shots, particularly early. I mean, I think Murray missed one at the rim. Jokic
Yep,
might have missed one as well. They
he
could
did.
have built that early 9-2 lead to 11, maybe even 13 to early on. But and yes, anytime a team shoots 18% from three, there's going to be missed shots. But I don't think you can say we played bad defense. In fact, I think we played great defense. I think there were some great
Right.
possessions where they got it into Jokic and we just see the double coming and then he passes it back out and then the double goes back and then the double comes back. That's what we need. We need to be flurry. We need to be on him all the time. We can't let him just back down Rudy into the paint because games 3, 4, and 5, we saw what happens when that happens. He just scores.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes we want him to score because that keeps him away from getting those other guys eaten. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of missed shots, and sometimes when you're up by a lot and you're really sticking it to a team, everyone's pressuring, everyone's forcing a shot, and it's not their normal rhythm. So that's part of our defense and part of us getting out in a quick lead helped with that. But I mean, in the same sense, I know we got hot in the fourth quarter, but I checked in the third quarter when we were up by 35 or something like that. And at the time, I think we were shooting like 25% from three. So we
Yep.
finished at 37, but we weren't, shooting the lights out either for a while. So, if we can just keep that intensity, like you said, and flying around on defense, we're going to have a good shot. And with the way that our coaches are scheming and kind of figuring out what they're going to do and putting us in these great positions. And if we're going to keep actually doing the game plan, that's what they said. A lot of the problem with game 5 is we just didn't do the game plan. So it's going to be fun to see. I just can't wait.
I can't either. Sunday's going to be amazing. And I thought that we have been doing a great job in Jamal Murray. Now, a couple stats
Yeah.
here as well. In wins this series, Jamal Murray, 26 of 52, 50% from the field, 5 for 12 from three, 19 points a game. In losses, 13 for 50, 26%, 4 from 15 from three, and 12 points per game. I mean, anytime you hold Jamal Murray to 10 points and he's shooting like what? 1 for 16, 1 for 8, or 3 for 16, 3 for 18, something like that. I mean, you've done a good job. And I think that he is a guy that you can frustrate, particularly with his injury prowess. I think, what did he say? He's got a bad elbow or something like that.
He's always complaining about something. I don't really care. Like, forget your elbow, dude. Whatever. Like, Anthony Edwards falls from a skyscraper and lands on his back, and he's back up playing, and you don't hear him complaining about how his elbow got hurt on the early in the game. Like, dude, you smoked a bunch of layups. Your elbow is fine. Like, you're just playing bad. Like, then when he tried to say, "Oh, it wasn't Anthony Edwards' defense," that's shutting him down. Man, Anthony Edwards is in that guy's jersey, chest to chest, and you can tell he wants nothing to do with it. So, yeah, we're for sure in his head. Started with Jaden McDaniels early in the series, and it's got to be he wants nothing to see of us. He's happy that it's Game 7. So either way, he doesn't have to see us anymore.
I think so. Because, and I feel like he's almost like a Devin Booker who you can get into their head, frustrate, get their head not into winning a game, but into trying to show someone up or trying to embarrass you. And that's where you screw up, because it's interesting because you wouldn't expect it with the run that the Nuggets went on last year and how they kind of blitzkrieg through the playoffs. You wouldn't expect such an attitude from a champion who's been there before. But I think now, obviously, Jamal Murray could come back, have a great game 7, whatever. But I think we're seeing some of Jamal Murray's true colors here. And I think we saw it also in game 2 when he threw the heat pack as well. I mean, let's be honest. I know that the Wolves got smoked in game 3, but you take Jamal Murray out of that game and maybe it's a completely different game.
Right. And it should have been. What it comes down to it is it's a lot easier for a lot of players to be front runners. And I don't mean that as like a super derogatory, but I kind of do in the same sense. Like when everything's going your way, it's easy to have a lot of pep in your step and be free, loose, and fancy free, you know, like playing exciting. And when teams start punching you in the mouth, sometimes it's not as much fun. And last year when they went through that playoff run, they were winning every series like, 4-1. So I mean, they were dominating, and it's easy to play good when you're playing, when your whole team is playing like that. But they ran into us, and he looked exciting and electric in that Lakers series. Turns out the big difference is us.
Yeah. I mean, when you got the best defense in the entire league and you're showing why. And how about those people that said, "Oh, Rudy Gobert can't play in the playoffs. Rudy Gobert is just like he got all this crap because the best player in the world had a big game against him. Like, so what? He's going to have a big game against anybody, which is why I am encouraged by looking at the next series, because I really think, not to look forward, I think this is, to use a hockey analogy, I think that beating the Nuggets is our miracle on ice. I think it's like beating the Russians, kind of, because I think that next round is kind of like when the U.S. actually won the gold medal and went and beat Sweden. But I think if we can win game 7, man, this town is going to be buzzing. This town is going to be all Minnesota Timberwolves all the time.
I'll tell you what, if Porzingis doesn't get healthy by the time everything comes around, we have a much nicer, out of the 3 possible opponents, or 4, the possible opponents we have left, a lot of them are a lot better on paper, or a lot easier on paper than Denver. So getting past Denver is by far the biggest challenge I think we're going to have left in the NBA to deal with. So yeah, it's huge. And, the whole Rudy thing is ridiculous. A lot of it is just people like to hate Rudy, and that's fine. But a lot of it, to me, is a lot of people don't think for themselves and they just listen to whatever they're told. And when they have on national television, Draymond Green, who literally choked Rudy out and got suspended, he's always taking shots at Rudy, always talking crap about Rudy because he's mad that Rudy gets Defensive Players of the Year when he wanted him. Like, that's all it is. He's a petty little baby. And you let that guy be a commentator or a talking head for a Timberwolves game Rudy could probably sue the NBA for that, for like some sort of like negligence. Like, that probably hurts his player value or something. Like, you can't allow that. So when you've got some like crusty old ex-girlfriend like that talking crap about Rudy, people are going to listen and believe it. But what happened in that game where Rudy, quote unquote, looked bad was Denver understood that Rudy is a monster down there in the paint, and he was been destroying everything for them. So they did whatever they could to pull him out of the paint and put him in a less successful situation for him. And unfortunately, our team isn't really used to covering for Rudy. So when Rudy is out covering for other people, usually nobody's at home covering the goal. So it was smart by Denver, but we adjusted and we took that play out of their playbook for game 6. So I don't think we're going to be fooled again for game 7.
I don't think so. I think that going into game 7, I think that these two teams know each other better than any two teams in the NBA. I mean, they're in the same division, so they played 4 times in the regular season. They've already played 6 times in the postseason.
Played last postseason.
Is there really anything left to learn? Like, is there anything left to learn about either team? I think it's just, we're going to put our best strategy out there. You're going to put your best strategy, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Thing in the middle and see what happens. I mean, if you told me in the beginning of the year that we would have a game 7 to go to the Western Conference Finals, I'd sign up for that no matter what the outcome of it is. So I'm super excited for everything that's happened so far. And, I don't think it's out of question that we win. I mean, we've shown that like last game wasn't like a gimmick game. Like game 2 when we blew them out was kind of a gimmick game where we didn't let them get the ball up. And, that was something that we kind of like stole a game from them with a coaching gimmick. Last game wasn't that. We just kind of kicked the hell out of them.
Yep. And I love the resilience in this team. Like they scored the first basket and then Denver goes on a 9-0 run. And we're thinking, oh no, here we go again. And then they come out and go on a 20-0 run, a 29-5 run.
Well, what's crazy
when
is
your season's on the line.
I think it was 112-50 run or something, or 112-47 run or something ridiculous if you count from that 9-2 run on. Mm-hmm. Like what did we end up with for a score?
The final score was 115-70.
Yeah, so we went 113. We scored, and they scored 62. Like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously,
a crazy run.
It is. Now, obviously, it did include the fourth quarter where you got Zeke Naji and DeAndre Jordan out there, so that's part of it. But still, I mean, we were killing them way before that.
Yeah, I don't know if the differential changed too much in the fourth. I mean, we had our scrubs in there too.
Yeah, that's true. Now, and Edwards talked about this in the post-game presser as well. I think it was huge, if maybe not even from a scoring standpoint, just from a stability standpoint, to have Minnesota Mike back in the lineup. Now, he finishes 5 for 9, pretty good game, 13 points, 5 assists, but just the stability there. And then you can run Nickeil Alexander-Walker off the bench for kind of a change of pace kind of thing, where more defensive-minded who can hit a couple threes. Mike Conley's more running the pick and roll with Rudy Gobert. I think that was a big to have him back in this game.
Well, for sure. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker can go like full steam too for the minutes he's going to be in there, because he knows that he's not going to have to play 40 or something like that because they have Conley in there. He's huge. I mean, he keeps everything stable. One thing that Finch has been saying is he can't really make adjustments on the fly like he normally did as a coach when he's on the sideline. So he's kind of missing the ability to kind of be like, oh, no, let's flip this play because they did something different. Or instead of that set, let's quick switch this. So now having Conley on the court, that's a guy that can do that on his own. Like he can see that stuff from where he's at and make some of those adjustments. So, yeah, I mean, it just helps us stay on pace and on tune and everything moving where it needs to. He is essential, even though sometimes the stat book or the box score doesn't show that.
And I think this is big for Anthony Edwards as well. He's finally has a little stability at point guard. He really does. Because think about his past. He started with Ricky Rubio. He loved Ricky Rubio. He's there for about a year. He's gone. Then you have D'Lo. He's there for about a year and a half. He's gone. And now you have this veteran.
And you had Pat Beverly.
Yeah, you had Pat Beverly. Awesome.
Yep.
Super.
But I mean, he started a lot of games next to Anthony Edwards.
He did. No, that's absolutely true. But now you have a guard who's been there. Everyone respects him. I mean, you can say what you want about D'Lo or Patrick Beverly, which I know we have in the past, and his shenanigans and whatnot, and the dumb stuff that he's done. No one's speaking bad about Patrick Beverly. I don't think that Mike Conley. I don't think that Mike Conley has any haters in the entire NBA. Like teammate of the year, I don't think I think I saw a stat he's never gotten a technical.
Never.
Like he is just the consummate pro and exactly what we need at the starting point guard now, and perfect for Anthony Edwards.
And I think he's a 2 or 3-time sportsmanship of the year guy too. Like
two-time.
Yeah. I mean, he's put in work as just a general good guy. It's huge. It's huge for calming people down, not getting emotion. I mean, Cat obviously gets out of his emotions a lot. Jaden McDaniels, as boring as his face looks, is an emotional mess.
He is.
Anthony Edwards can get fired up to the point where maybe he's a little out of control. Like Rudy Gobert literally punched one of our teammates. Like our guys can get fired up sometimes when they shouldn't. So to have a guy like Mike Conley in there to be like, to, get everyone together, a little kumbaya, take a breath. Let's get back out there is super important. I mean, we got wild guys.
Yep. And just think about if he were to win this game, if we win game 7, think about when we win game 7, think about the legacy builder this is for Anthony Edwards, not only for his legacy, but just his legacy as a Timberwolf. To take the team as far as Kevin Garnett ever did in season 4? That would be amazing. And to beat the former world champions, that would be unprecedented. He would be, if he's not already, he would be a Minnesota sports legend already in year 4. And he's 22 years old. And he says all of the right things. You hear him in the press conference. That is exactly what I want a leader to say. You hear some clips. Like, for example, they went on a big run. I saw a clip where he's like, guys, this is what I'm talking about. We get a big lead and then we get comfortable. Keep your blank on the pedal. Like, that's exactly what you want to hear. And I heard another clip where he's talking to Rudy, and he's saying, Rudy, they're not double teaming you. Like, take your time in the paint. And you saw a couple times he got the ball, did a little move, and got the dunk. So he is just, at 22 years old, as much of a leader as I think I've ever seen a player in his position. Like, it's unbelievable. He's passing every test. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, the only leader that I've seen anywhere close would be LeBron James at that age. He is, it's amazing what Anthony Edwards is doing. And it's like he's already, or he's, to meet what Kevin Garnett did. I mean, Kevin Garnett only got us out of the second round once in his entire career. So he's already matched that. Like, and it's not like Kevin Garnett went up against the world champs, like we have to do with Denver. But talking about legacy, like everyone wants to talk about him and Michael Jordan, which is crazy to talk about, but let's be real about that. I mean, right now, Anthony Edwards is in game 7 of the semifinals to go to the Western Conference Finals. So we swept the Suns, 4 wins, and now we're 3 wins into this series. I'm looking back at Jordan. His first year, he went 1-3 in the playoffs, so got blown out in the first round.
Yeah, it took him a while.
Yeah, second year, he went 0-3 in the playoffs, so got swept. Third year, he got swept again.
Yep.
Fourth year, he went 1-4 in the second round, so got crushed in the second round and barely made it out of the first. So, I mean, it took multiple years. And I think after that, he started making Eastern Conference Finals where he lost a lot. But it took multiple years for him to build this playoff credibility and this, to know how to handle that sort of game. And Anthony Edwards is learning this stuff on the fly at a level that is unheard of. And a lot of it comes back to Rudy Gobert making that trade to make sure that last year we also had Anthony Edwards in the playoffs. It's important to get this guy in the playoffs so he can learn how to dominate in these settings, because he's going to be doing it for a long time.
Absolutely. So to answer another question from Chris, what is it like in Minnesota? Are people fired up? Oh, yeah. Oh, there is a buzz around this team. I know coming out of the arena, people yelling Wolves in 7. There is a buzz around this team that even the 2 years that we made the playoffs previous, that there hasn't been in a long time. People are excited about the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I will say basketball still is kind of like a stepchild, though. Like it's only probably this last, 2 weeks is when I've been hearing a lot of basketball on the radio. Like even a couple of weeks ago when we're making this playoff run, you're still hearing about the NFL draft and possible prospects, even more than the fact that we're pushing for for a title. So it is still, I wouldn't say in Minnesota like sport number 1, but it's building. And, with this added success, it'll only get bigger. I bet it's electric. Gabe went to the game, so I bet it's electric when it's down there around that time. and I hope after we get through this series and on to the next one, people start, consuming it even more, and you start hearing more people, fired up about the Wolves everywhere.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. Your predictions
Yeah.
for Game 7. What do you think?
I think we got it. I think we got it. I think we've proven that we can beat them. We've proven that Denver doesn't scare us, like being in Denver.
No.
And I don't think there's anything like they have that. I mean, Jokic went for one of the greatest games in playoff history. Like in the third quarter, for example, he scored or assisted on like 28 of the points, like unbelievable. And we lost that game by 9. So I mean, they can go completely nuclear, and we weren't down by much. So I think that we got a chance to, double digit beat them. Like I'm really not. I don't think it's out of the question. I'm looking forward to next round at this point.
I got Wolves in 7 as well. I got to. I mean, for all the reasons you said and more. Yeah. Here's what I'll say. If Jaden McDaniels goes for 20 points, we're winning.
Oh, yeah.
We're winning 100%.
I want 15 out of him. I want 8 shots.
8 shots? Okay.
I want 8 shots. I don't even care what the points are. I want him to be aggressive and get 8 shots. If he gives me 8 shots and 5 rebounds, I'm happy.
With his defense, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And tell us what your predictions are for the game and going forward. We would talk about next round opponents, but we'll save that for another podcast.
Yeah, we don't know who they are yet. Let's wait till we know who they are.
Absolutely. Sunday is going to be fun. Oh, last question for you.
Yeah.
Would you prefer the night game or the day game? What works better for you?
You know me. I'm a night game guy. I would prefer that game to start at 10:30 at night if it was my choice. So like those daytime games, like a beautiful sunny day, like during the day, like I got things to do. Like I want to be outside. So I'm that kind of guy. But if I gotta hunker in and watch us dominate, I'll do it.
By the way, if you guys are looking for somewhere to watch the game, I know they're still doing the watch parties at Park Tavern, so I'm not going to be there for this one. But if you're looking for a community to watch the Wolves game with, check out Park Tavern. You can check out Thirsty Pups watch parties. They're great people.
They do a good job.
They do a good job. It's a fun time. And let's just hope they're not double booked with the NCAA tournament this time. Yeah, a little bit of a confusion there, but we got through it. Anyway, Chris, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, it was great, man. I just can't wait to Sunday.
I can't wait either. And this is the Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening. And as always, go Wolves, Wolves in 7.